I know when Splatoon 3 is going to be released. But what I want to hear first is when you guys think it's going to be released. What are your predictions? I want to hear what you have to say first before I tell you when it's going to be released.
Actually, I know when Splatoon 3 is going to be released.
Contraire.
I hate to poop on the parade, but July... Wait, let me look at my calendar so I know what I'm talking about. July 22nd, 2022 will be the release date of Splatoon 3.
Why do you think that?
I guarantee that.
Is there backing to that? No?
Nope.
Nope.
I have no sources to cite, no evidence other than that I'm
just
correct.
July 20... I forgot what you said already. 22nd. July 22nd. Okay, what about you, Dan? What are your...
I think it's going to come out July 29th. And my reason is that way, if it comes out after the 22nd, I am now closer and more accurate than Jay's prediction.
Wow. You just have to one up, right? So that you gotta hedge your bets. You just gotta hedge your bets a little bit. What about you, Gab?
I'm gonna do the Price is Right move, and I'm gonna say July 21st, just to
That's the best
anything that is before Jay.
Yeah, guys, you guys are really, really placing your chips in strategic places here, I see.
Wow.
Dude, if it comes out on the 22nd, though, Jay's gonna have such a validated pop-off.
Well,
yeah,
guys, I hate to break it to you, but you're all wrong, okay? Because Splatoon 3 is going to be released summer 2022. Welcome back to Mouthfools, everyone.
That's not fair. He's always going to be right. That's not fair.
There you go. There's the loophole. We're talking about Splatoon 3 today. Also, speaking of predicting dates, I predict that the date you're going to subscribe to this YouTube channel is yesterday. But you know what? It's fine. You can do it now if you want. Time's ticking. You're kind of like 24 hours late, so get on that. Subscribe.
Kind of embarrassing.
It's kind of embarrassing, but it's okay. We'll forgive you just this once.
Forgive it.
But like only this once.
One time.
So subscribe.
Thin ice.
Suck, motherfucker.
Please.
What happened if there's a delay like Breath of the Wild and it's coming this winter and we're all gonna look at you and a not mad, just disappointed Fyrus.
Well, you're kind of I feel like you're kind of manifesting it now by saying that. So like, we don't need that negative juju being put out into the world, Gab. Come on now. We already had Breath of the Wild delayed.
I'm sorry.
Think
you can
of
blame
the
me if
people.
it happens.
But yeah, we're talking about Splatoon 3 today. Just thoughts, theories. There's a lot we don't know about the game because I know we've been shown we've been shown like gameplay of the multiplayer and then some. We had like that one trailer that showed some of like the story mode, but we don't ultimately know all too much. We just know a couple of new weapons, the new location, and that's it. So I just want to hear are there any theories, any thoughts just like bubbling in your brains that you want to talk about, just off the bat, off the cuff? Wow, tough audience.
I mean, yeah. Well, there's a lot to think about in this because there's a lot of, when it comes to theories and speculation, the Splatoon community is is known to be a very tight knit. Okay. Everybody knows everybody kind of thing.
I'll start you off then. I'll ask I'll get the ball rolling. What do you think the plot's going to be like? How do you think the story's going to unfold? Like a lot of people think that Octavio is actually not a bad guy in this. What are your thoughts on the story mode in general?
Yeah, no, I definitely am going to agree with Octavio being a friend. I think, I believe I recall seeing someone say in a tweet that they saw the game's description off Best Buy. It was like a little print screen. So it could just be like one of those placeholder things. Who knows who actually wrote it? But it mentioned in the description that the Octarians were still taking Zapfish or something to that effect. The main point was that the Octarians are still the enemy.
I mean they're the furry guys in the trailer, right?
Yeah, they're the mammalians.
Yeah,
the
That's
mammalians.
the title
of
the new campaign, Return.
Yeah, because I'll let you finish your point before I go on to mine.
Yeah, pretty much my thought was that it's gonna be something like the mammalians have, taken over the Octarians, and that Octavio wants to team up with you to try and free his group.
Right.
It's gonna be something like that. That's how I see it.
The very tropey anime
It's
thing that happens.
tropey.
It's so tropey, but it's always kind of sick when the bad guy is on your side for a little bit. That's what I'm curious about though, because the mammalians just look like Octarians that evolved to cope with the cold climate. Because there's snowy areas, right? There was like a space shuttle shot at the end of one of the trailers. There was snow everywhere, and my theory brain is that they are just Octarians that needed to get warm for the colder climate, so that's why they're furry. But there's also okay, it's been a while since I watched it, but what was that? Is it like a weird corruption thing that you can throw little buddy at, and it gets rid of it? Someone correct me if I'm wrong.
Wasn't that the thing that was turning the mammalian? Because I remember our inkling bumped into it or something and became like a little fur ball.
So there's this thing called Kaba ink or whatever that is apparently infected all of the whatever area that it takes place in. And so the mammalian Octarians have been infected by that, which, by the way, fantastic job, Nintendo, making your story mode about an infectious virus. Very topical, great for sales. And so it seems like the campaign is about you having the little buddy, which is what we saw in the first reveal trailer.
Yeah.
And when you throw him at the Kaba ink or whatever it's called, it'll eat it up and get rid of it and destroy it, but if you touch it, you become a fur ball or whatever.
Okay.
So perhaps that has spread across, it's just laying across planes. So maybe the Octarian race was infected by it, and that very much plays into what you're saying about Octavio. He's shown in the trailer in his big mechanic machine, but he's not he doesn't have any fur on him. He's not mammalian.
Yeah.
Perhaps that's what it is that we need to use Little Buddy, who's also previously an enemy, by the way.
Yeah,
Salmonids were enemies of us, so we're already teaming up with a bad guy. So who's to say Octavio isn't also... Everybody's coming together to fight off something that is ruining every species, right?
That's that's super interesting. It's like a Mario Sunshine kind of thing, where there's a bunch of goop all over the... all over the joint. You gotta clean it up with Little Buddy. Little Buddy's like your flood, but instead of hosing it down with a power washer, you're eating it.
Just eats it. Who knows where it goes?
Kind of a little bit less sanitary, but I mean, I'm not gonna judge the little guy's diet.
Yeah, he's a little monster fish. He's not really worried about
doing his best.
nausea or stomach bugs or whatever else. He just does his thing.
Yeah,
Delicious.
I feel with Splatoon 3's hero mode, story mode, whatever they're calling it, Return of the Mammalians?
Yeah, Return.
I believe it's Return of Mammalians,
So it's interesting that it's Return of the Mammalians, which insinuates that mammalians have existed previously, if that makes sense. And not
the human race. That would be us.
Yeah, we are mammalians.
Are you saying that we're the mammalians?
Well, we are mammals.
We're mammals, but we're not mammalians. Where's the
Maybe
Liam
we're
part?
coming back, bro. I don't know.
That's it. Oh my god. Wait. I am furry.
Oh my god!
Oh no,
my
we touched
Jesus.
the ink.
Look, it's on our faces now, dude. What do you think's going on?
If I can make a prediction, I guess it's going slightly off script here, but I think we're gonna have a human. A human is going to be the main bad of this one, because
there's rockets. There was a rocket ship.
So
That's true.
Splatoon 2 spoilers, woo! Or Octo expansion. At the end, the goo dude said he was Tartar said he was built by a professor to observe, I believe, the world over time.
Wasn't that a long time ago though? Wasn't that
Yes,
okay.
absolutely. And this would definitely have something to do with he's been preserved. I mean, we have Judd. Judd was preserved throughout time.
Oh, true.
And plus we have time travel with Judd, because that's not Judd's son. That is a baby Judd. That is also Judd. So we're throwing in time travel and isolation or preservation throughout centuries. I think that if the enemy was an actual human, that'd be crazy. But yeah.
Actually, there is no time travel because Lil Judd is I believe from the Sunken Scroll mentioned that he's kind of a clone of Judd, because it's mentioned the doctor says, Judd, as you get into the future, you will be all alone and stuff like that. But I have programmed your conservation capsule to actually, we believe, is cloning, and that's why little Judd is just like
time travel, cloning. What's the difference, really? They're
all
both
bullshit.
It's all like sci-fi malarkey. But yeah, no, I feel like the story mode in general is going to be way more. I said this about Kirby as well, and it was kind of true, I guess. I feel like the story is just going to be like more fleshed out with like cutscenes and stuff. Like I feel like there's gonna they're setting up to tell more of a story than all the Zapfish are gone. Go fucking get them. They've because like the environments don't look like obstacle courses anymore from what we've seen. Because like you know how Splatoon 1 and 2's story mode, they look like they look like very abstract obstacle courses that are kind of just floating in the sky. In this, they actually look like locales. Like they look like they have like a ground. They look like they're real environments almost. From what we see of them running around, which is like really interesting. We saw that cityscape, which was you know, they recreated the Into the Spider-Verse shot.
Yeah, the upside down cityscape.
Yeah. So I'm just intrigued as to if they're really gonna not be heavy-handed, but if they're really gonna try and drive a narrative more than just, you know, you're set out to capture a certain amount of MacGuffins. You're gonna get exposition and lore through like text conversations between worlds. Because I feel like it's being set up in a way like, you know, you got Little Buddy, that's like classic. That's like a classic little trope that can like, you know, be used for some sort of emotional manipulation of the audience. Like they can like kidnap Little Buddy, and you're like, no, Little Buddy, and then you're like, you got to go find him, and then there could be like some emotional moments of Little Buddy here and there. You know,
they're gonna turn him into a mammalian, the monster.
Yeah, exactly. That could be the real final boss. There's like a lot of things happening that could make this narrative more of a narrative than any other Splatoon story, and I'm very excited to see where they go with it.
Can you imagine it's like super grim and it's like you have the option of putting down Little Buddy, like he's too far gone. Do you try to save him or do you hit him with like a single splatter shot? It's like,
my God.
It's
That's
just like,
the
do you
final
pull the
boss.
trigger? Yeah. He's like running at you, like about to like eat you or something. You're like, I don't know if I have it in me. It's like a quick time event or something like that.
Could you imagine that they hit you with like a hard-hitting morality choice?
Oh no.
Like he reverts to his salmonid, like, you know, his previous primal salmonid instincts.
Will you splat him or not?
Yeah, the choice is
And
yours.
you pull the trigger and a salmon egg just pops out.
Take it. Woo! Dunk it.
Kobe.
It's too ingrained in us. It's too ingrained.
Yeah, for sure.
No matter where in the world you are, Kobe means one thing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It'd be so funny if there was like a statistic with the Splatoon community. It'd be like 70% of players pulled the trigger on.
like the Telltale games.
I think it's fascinating that you mention Octo Expansion in the ending of that, because he did mention Tartar, the product of the scientist. He did mention, you know, I'm sorry, Professor, I couldn't help create the perfect race. And they were brewing this purple drink so that they could shoot it at Angopolis and create the perfect, you know, race, whatever that means, right? It could have to do with Return of the Mammalians, maybe because it is something to do with the human race. They want to combine mammalians and fish and make fish, man. I don't know, some weird shit is going on clearly, but I feel like it definitely is a good parallel to draw between the ending of Octo Expansion and whatever the hell is happening in this new game that they're making.
I hate that you called it Purple Drag, because immediately my brain was like, I love lean. Yeah. Immediately. I mean, you called it Purple Drag, that's what it is.
That's what it is,
Oh
dude.
my god. But yeah, no, there's a lot they could do with it, especially because they're going with the Final Fest's final result, the Chaos versus Order, but it seems like they're kind of mixing both in. like, you know, Chaos is the main locale, Splatsville, but then like the Order, it looks like the city location, if that makes sense. You know, like the upside down city, that looks like what it would be like to be in like a what is the word called? You know, how a dystopia.
Utopia?
No, dystopia.
Dystopia's the bad version.
Yeah, it'd be like a dystopian like city. Yeah. Utopia would be like a paradise. And so it looks like they're like working both in. We haven't seen Pearl Marina yet, and I'm guaranteed they're gonna be in this storyline somehow.
Have to.
There's just it's cool. It's cool to think about what there could be in the story mode.
Yeah, there's a lot of possibilities. It's very open-ended, and I have a feeling that I think you guys are right about that. It's going to be a lot different from what we normally have. Is it could be a little more open-ended, because I feel like they have the ability with everything they're setting up to make it not as get A to B, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
or same thing with Doctor's Mansion, just
yeah.
complete a task. You know, it feels like they're gonna step into a new territory with that.
Yeah, make it more like 3D world environments almost.
Yes,
yeah.
which would be dope.
That would be insane.
Yeah.
You're done?
I sort of had something I wanted to say, and then I like rethought about it a little bit. Sorry, so my original thought was that because the final Splatfest, right, was Chaos versus Order, and that was gonna like determine how the world kind of worked for Splatoon 3. Yeah. My thought process was, from a development standpoint, we will probably see an Order side of it to a utopia with a probably a functionally dystopia. Yeah. But it seems like a utopia at first, but like, you know, the underground, it actually is dystopia. Yeah. So my thought was that it was gonna be like almost like a split. Like, we will go to that dystopia and see the other side of things, but it will look super good and it will look super promising. But it still is also, you know, functionally not going to work out. That's my guess is why they let a Splatfest determine so much of how the game's design goes into. Because my God, you got to design a lot to make a video game, like world, sound, atmosphere. So my guess is they're not scrapping either side, and that we will see
No, I agree.
That was my only thought.
Like, I think that's a pretty reasonable line of thought to think that they're going to include both sides. But I think if Order had won, maybe Splatsville would not be Splatsville. Maybe it would be more of a dystopian like city with less oranges and more like whites and like, you know, very sterile environment. Very like futuristic. Yeah, very futuristic and very much like kind of like a Portal level.
Yeah.
How it's very like, you know, it's very sterile. It's like a doctor's office almost. I think that was like one of the main things that the Splatfest determined. But like we saw with the upside down city, that doesn't look like Chaos. That doesn't look like Splatsville. That absolutely looks like a dystopian city that's run by Order. So
exactly.
I'm so fucking curious about so many of the elements we've seen, because we've seen like the weird did you say it's called Kabu ink?
It's Kabu ink, Kaba ink.
We've seen like Kaba ink, which turns things into furries, which is interesting. We've seen like the environments aren't like standard obstacle courses, they look like actual levels, like real looking environments. We've seen the city environments, we've seen the Splatlands, we've got Little Buddy, there's a fucking space shuttle.
Yeah.
It's like, there's still Salmon Run, so even though we got Little Buddy, we're still killing Little Buddy's family, so
yeah,
there's a lot of like, what the fuck is going on in this game happening?
Yeah, that was a real surprise to me. That was the last thing I would have expected in this game, was some type of Salmon Run mode, because I just assumed it was what it was.
Yeah.
But now that I'm like looking at it, like the sequence at which things seem to play out seems to be very specific, because the first reveal that we got was post-apocalyptic land and the Inkling wearing that post-apocalyptic
you saw the
gear.
Character customization screen. Like,
but you see the character customization screen, but then you also see the customization for Little Buddy.
Yeah.
But like, we don't see Little Buddy in the multiplayer. We don't even see him in I don't believe we see versions of him in the multiplayer lobby.
No,
I
think he's strictly like a single player thing.
So I have to wonder if the game will literally play out like that. Like, it starts with the single player, you team up with little buddy, and then you play through the single player, do your thing, and then once you finish that, it goes into the game. Little buddy goes off and he fights with the salmonids or whatever. You guys have to have your separation.
Yeah.
And things happen after that. Because it's weird that the character customization and the single player would be linked. Because they never are. Like, they're two completely separate things. So it's strange that.
Oh yeah, you're right. Like there's usually a menu, and then you go into the plaza. Yeah, no, you're absolutely right.
The only thing that's different for was Octo Expansion, but Octo Expansion brought Octolings.
Yeah, I mean,
so
it makes sense because that's like it's narratively linked.
Yeah. So why this time would the character customization be directly connected to the single player, unless you are supposed to play as a different character? You know what I mean?
I didn't think of that. Like, you're absolutely right in that. Wait, no. Okay, I've just thought about it. I think what the screen you see is what you first see when you boot up the game, because I think there's like a title screen. Maybe you press start, you see that screen where the Inkling is like, you know, sat there and they stand up and you design the character and the little buddy, and then you see the Inkling run to the train station and then bam, you're in Splatsville. That's the hub. So that's not the single player, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But then his little buddy is single player exclusive. Why do you choose what he looks like there? If he never, and he's on the train following you to Splatsville, but we don't see him at Splatsville.
See, that's interesting. I wonder if little buddy.
I think little buddy waits for you in the train, and if you want to do the single player campaign, you get back in the train, go back in the post-galactic zone.
That might make sense.
Hi, I'm back. And then
that makes sense.
That might make sense. Yeah, because I didn't think about it that that the character customization isn't like in a separate menu. I think that's just like a very fancy looking character customization menu. Like, because I think it just plays out like that. You see that the first thing you boot up, they just made it look really fancy and in game as opposed to like, you know, like an actual menu like in Splatoon 1 and 2. And then you run, get the train, and then you're in Splatsville.
Yeah, and gameplay is never final, so we could be completely speculating on a temporary thing
that could change. It could just be a menu in Splatoon 3.
So sad.
Yeah, we don't even know. But yeah, there's so much within the single player. The single player alone has a lot to unpack because it seems like they're really going all out with making it a very strong point. The single player was never a strong selling point for Splatoon ever.
Yeah.
So it's kind of, I think the Octo expansion was such a big thing, it was so well received that they're realizing, okay, we need these big lore intensive event based, you know, penetrating the enemy base, you know, this type of style of campaign, and people gravitate towards it a lot more than the single player.
Because like with Octo expansion, there wasn't a lot of it, but there was more storytelling involved. Like they had the intro cutscene with Cuttlefish. They had the cutscene where is Agent 3. Is that the Splatoon 2? Splatoon?
Yes. Agent 3.
Agent 3, yeah, the hero mode one. She swoops in through the roof and like, you know, you have that whole thing. In general, Octo expansion just did a lot more storytelling and a lot more world building because, you know, you had like the Commander Tartar stuff. You had like lore as to what Agent 3 did outside of hero mode. That was the first time you've seen like a previous protagonist just like acting out of your control. I mean, you got to fight. Spoilers, but you got to fight her as well. It was way more interesting than the standard hero mode. So I feel like you said, they're taking that and they're ramping it up to 10 because they're like, okay, people were super into it. Let's like really go fucking hard on the story mode then and see if people are about it, because it's always been an afterthought. People have always like seen the hero mode as like a tutorial for the multiplayer and not like, it's its own thing.
Yeah, and that seems to happen a lot for online IPs, because Splatoon is really one of Nintendo's, I feel like, first and biggest online IPs. Like Mario Kart has online, but it was never necessarily designed to just be that. This is his first like online focused IP.
Yeah.
Right. And so I think typically with that a lot, this story campaigns don't typically stand out in games like that. But Nintendo has proven that they're capable of making that possible. With having, you buy the Octo expansion, you get to take a character into battle with you that you play as, and you understand the story behind it, and it opens up all these possibilities. So I have a good feeling that they're gonna really hit a lot of nails with the hammer. Because I feel like they're gonna do more fan service as they go on.
Yeah, absolutely.
Giving us stuff that we want to see.
Like Agent 3 in Octo expansion was absolutely fan service, and it was fucking sick. It was really fucking cool.
Yeah.
It's funny that you mentioned that online focused IPs tend to not have cool story modes, because I haven't played any of the recent ones, but Call of Duty used to have banging like campaign modes. They used to be like super cinematic, and they had like these big set pieces and these really cool storylines. I don't know what they're like recently, because I haven't played one in like, I want to say 5-6 years, but I can remember Modern Warfare 2, Black Ops 2, they had really fucking like really cool like story modes. Like Black Ops had like the numbers, like the main character was like a sleeper agent. It's fucking super interesting, and it was always kind of disappointing that Splatoon's like story mode was never really much of a story. It was more just, here's the game mechanics, go save all these things. So I'm stoked to see what they do with it, and it's it's so weird that there is Salmon Run. Like, I know you said before, especially that it's didn't expect to see Salmon Run back in Splatoon 3. I did not expect to see it back in Splatoon 3 because of Little Buddy. You
can only get Salmon Run if you pull the trigger against the little buddy. Yeah. Like, you can only play that mode if you choose the bad ending.
Oh, okay. Yeah. You were laughing, and I was like, "Are you good?" Because like,
no, I just had like a really grim idea. Don't worry.
Okay, gotcha. But
that's why he was laughing. He knew it.
Oh god, pull the trigger! I want to play with my friends. I know. I'm sorry, little buddy.
I totally feel like the storyline, and this might be completely off the mark, I feel like it's going to be like a Last of Us situation. I don't know if any of you have played that.
I'm familiar with it. I never played it though.
First one or second one?
First one.
First one. Okay.
Yeah. So to like boil it down, The Last of Us it's a game about it's a post-apocalyptic world. There's infected called the
Clickers.
No, they're not called clickers though. I think they might just be called infected. There are clickers, but like they're a type of infected. It's like a mushroom infection.
A fungus.
Yeah. A fungus among us. But yeah, so there's an infection, people are dying, and there's this girl, Ellie. She's like been infected, but she hasn't turned. She's just chilling. She's just mad chilling.
Is this spoilers for Last of Us? I don't.
Oh, do you want to play it?
Yeah.
La.
I mean, that everyone knows that she's infected. If you didn't want to know spoilers, I wouldn't talk about it.
Okay, yeah.
But
I will literally just take off my headphones. Like, I don't want to take away from the point, but
it's not spoilers. That's what I'm saying. It's not spoilers.
Yep.
The whole idea is he just has to escort her across the country, and that was my point.
Oh yeah.
I wonder. Yeah, then maybe that is.
That's what I'm saying.
Like,
yeah, I thought
is the one you have to take with you to cure the.
No, I was gonna say I would have prefaced if I was gonna spoil The Last of Us, Dan. Don't worry.
I just wanted to make sure. I'm like, oh, it's an old game. I don't know.
I mean, I don't spoil things like that. You know that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was just saying that maybe the story is you escort little buddy. You have to escort like little buddy back to the Salmonids or something.
Oh yeah, maybe you get an emotional connection to him, and you're like, well, I've killed 600,000 of you, but this one's cute, so I might as well bring him home.
It makes it all
to
different
his
there,
boys.
You know?
Yeah, exactly. But it is interesting that he has that ability to eat up. Like he has something. Like, can all salmonids do that? Where they eat up the ink, or like it's a really specific thing. Like, and why would just this one mini guy do that? Surely they could just get an army of salmonids and then just have them come in and wipe out the Octarians or wipe out the menace. I don't know. There's so much.
Salmonids are pretty hard to tell. Like, can you please do that? Maybe they put a lot of frying pans over the mammalians, you know? Just
oh yeah.
Go over there and have some fun, buddy.
Yeah, something they'd be attracted to.
But I personally think there's gonna be something as with a remnants of Tartar because Tartar was an AI, so he probably has a backup / failsafe something when he got destroyed. You know, like it was like, okay, I got destroyed, but I got a plan. Or worse, Tartar had plenty of like that primordial lean in his basement, and when he died, everything that was, you know, contained and in contingency got released because he wasn't there anymore. And that's when the mammalians came out, because they probably were the first version of the perfect species that Tartar was trying to make. And now they're like, well, we're close and we're mad. And as them as order, and the Salmonid as chaos. And that's the thing, the Salmonid are too chaotic, they're dangerous, but the mammalians are too orderly, so they're dangerous too. So you gotta hit that perfect sweet spot of like chaotic order or orderly chaos, and that's what the little buddy who represent chaos will switch the flip of order going wild.
Oh yeah,
that's where I think it's going. Somewhere there.
Well, interestingly enough, there in the single player they show several, or at least 2 different outfits that the Inkling, the main character, seems to wear. Like they seem to have a post-apocalyptic outfit with post-apocalyptic, like, and I'm looking at it now, but like the description of it is like they have a water bottle attached to a backpack to hold their ink instead of a canister. But then in other screenshots or other shots of the game, they have like a proper Agent 3 type backpack. So there's clearly 2 different types of outfits that they're wearing, and even their gun looks different. I know you can upgrade stuff, but like it is almost like they're upgrading. They start off with the water bottle taped to the backpack, then you upgrade your ink tank or whatever, and you get a stronger thing, then you upgrade it at maximum, and then you get like a proper futuristic ink tank. So there might be actually something there where like you are upgrading to get the futuristic orderly weapons that you need to defeat people, and maybe there's a parallel between the 2 of them. I know we mentioned briefly earlier, like Pearl and Marina have to show up at some point.
Oh yeah,
but we do see Callie and Marie, interestingly enough, back in the single player, which I'm surprised that they're even back in a 3rd game, but B, that Callie and Marina aren't explicitly shown anywhere unless they're the idols for Splatoon 3, which I
don't think they will be. I think they'd probably just have story. Yeah, they just have story significance, and that's about it, probably.
Yeah. But Pearl and Marina also had Octo expansion, so every character has already had like a story where they're the narrators, or whatever. So I'm curious where they'll even come in, if not explicitly in the story, or if maybe similar to Splatoon 1 to Splatoon 2, they are somehow the villains. Because Marina's an Octoling, she was an Octarian, part of their team at one point. She got infected somehow. Maybe. She was on Team Werewolf for the Splatfest. I'm just saying these things.
Mammalian Marina.
Marina. Oh god. I feel like if that was the name, the internet would go wild with that. Marina.
Marina,
oh, yeah. Go very wrong. Yeah, you know, forget what I said. It's silly.
Totally.
And I'm looking forward to the store NPCs. I know that's such a minor thing, but like they always bring in new store NPCs, and they have such funny little designs. I love them.
That's true. That's one of those little details that I find matters a lot. Even outside of the story mode, just the basic things that you see in menus and interacting with new people. It's little stuff like that that gets me excited, because it's like, we know Sheldon's coming back a 3rd time. Maybe a friend of his. We actually haven't explicitly seen Sheldon, right? We've just seen the Ammonite store, like the weapon store. So we know that his Ammonites, like the store is there, but maybe it's not Sheldon a 3rd time. Maybe it's Sheldon's cousin Breldon, or maybe his son Weldon. I don't know. Regardless, yeah, that's an interesting point, that there's little details like that could show up, and the customization. Maybe there's more shops that let you buy more stuff. Maybe there's a pants guy finally. Maybe there's a hairstylist. You know, maybe there's a barber shop. That'd be cool if you could have that. You could buy new hairstyles as they get added to the game. That'd be awesome.
That'd be pretty dope.
All I know is I'm gonna be like studying every character's name so thoroughly, just because I refuse to be embarrassed by Crusty Sean Crustacean ever again. After it took me like 6 months to learn that Crusty Sean was Crustacean, and I'm like, oh my god. I'm an
6
idiot.
months.
Yeah, it took me
a year to figure that out. Are you kidding? I had no idea until like the second game.
Every new NPC, I'm repeating like 4 times at minimum until I get the pun.
Oh yeah, no, that's fair. That's fair.
Is there a pun with Alfonso?
Maybe this is a cool
Yeah,
name.
it's supposed to be like Jalonzo, or I think Jalonzo is a.
Alfonso and is a name, yeah, and it's just a pun on that with gel,
yeah. And then Annie has like anemone because she has the fish in her head, the clownfish.
Oh.
This is Annie anemone.
Okay, so apparently I still need to do that.
I'm pretty sure every character has a thing like that. I'm trying to think of who else. Well, those are the only 3 shops, right?
Yeah.
The headgear, yeah. So.
Well, it's not Crusty Sean at the shoes anymore. It's that weird guy. What's his name?
Oh, the lobster-looking dude.
Yeah.
Or the crab-looking dude. Whatever animal-looking dude. The yellow dude.
Yeah, I forget what his name is. I wonder if those characters will come back in the same way that like Crusty Sean came back, but he's now working in a food truck. So maybe Gelfonso will come back and he's the idol. Maybe the shoe guy comes back and he controls something. I don't know.
Oh, the
shoe interesting. I definitely would love to see new ones.
Was named Bisque, I think.
Bisque, like lobster bisque.
Yeah.
That makes sense. I don't like the food names. I think it's weird to be named after a food that you become, but
yeah, it's a little strange.
Well, I mean, the Squid Sister song is Calamari Incantation.
Oh, true. Okay, that is weird.
It totally plays into how weird it is. Totally, it's bizarre, but I don't know. I guess they embrace it.
They embrace being eaten.
Embrace their seafood. But it's weird because they're referencing human foods.
I mean, how would humans existed in the world, didn't they? They're just extinct now.
Yeah, but they thought. I guess that's true. Yeah, I guess that is true. Yeah. Which actually, I would like to see more of that. Because I think you mentioned it earlier, like, what if humans come back? I actually would like to see more of, like, them connecting the Splatoon world into the real world somehow, or having more human-like references.
Right.
You know, stuff like that. Even outside of the story mode, just, like, you know, some type of lore or a weapon that's actually like a Nerf gun that got left behind or survived the apocalypse or some shit. You pick
a fucking revolver.
Yeah, just a real gun.
An M16.
Oh, yeah. Weapon shop's looking a lot different this game, Sheldon. What's going on, dude? Oh, that'd be funny. That'd be quite the twist.
Give little buddy a Glock.
Yeah. Oh my God. Give him. Yeah. Exactly. Oh my God.
The amount of sales the game would generate if that was on the cover art. Absolutely, bro.
Insane.
It all comes back to putting down little buddies, all I'm saying. Just say, except it's just the real gun.
Well, if he gets a Glock, it's going to be a little bit more of a fight.
Yeah, you're about to put down little buddy. He pulls out the gun. No, you.
This whole time, he's like, I knew you would stab my back at some point. I was ready for this.
Yeah, no. NPCs. Super excited for them. Just like the small stuff. I love Splatoon so much just for like its UI design and everything. I mean, my God, on my streams, my live chat is still the little Splatoon UI just because I enjoy it so much.
It's good, dude. And the aesthetic that they're going for this game looks really cool. I'm a big fan of the like post-apocalyptic, scrappy, like put together type of stuff.
Very Mad Max. It's very Mad Max.
Yeah. I'm sure with their sound design, they're gonna implement some ways to make it feel like it's really setting the scene. That's one thing that I think the Splatoon developers have always been really good at, is setting the atmosphere for what you're doing. Because you can play Splatoon 2, online, then you can play the hero campaign, and you can play the Octo expansion, and they feel like 3 different games because they all have these environments that are so accurately, so uniquely separate from each other. That the Octo expansion really feels like the underground retro 80s but like neo-futuristic like aesthetic, and then
synthwave. It's like almost synthwavy.
Yeah, which I love. That's the coolest thing to me. But then the single player is like kind of more modern and like early 2000s, kicking it style, and then the hero campaign. I guess the hero campaign doesn't have a crazy. I guess it kind of does have a little blend of both. Because they got like the levels.
The Octo Canyon's very thematic. It's not thematic. It's very lacking in like theming. It's very subtle.
Yeah,
if there is any.
Definitely I think definitely just comparative to Octo Expansion because it blew it out of the water.
Yeah.
And it just doesn't blow our minds as much as Octo Expansion did. But now that we've seen what they're capable of Octo Expansion, it's clear that this Splatoon 3 story mode is going to be like that. Yeah. And that makes me think, like, what's the single player, or not the single player, the multiplayer even going to be like? That's a whole other aspect of the game that we haven't even thought about yet. Like, there's so many parts of that like we've seen, but theories we can come up with, and we're seeing weapons come back that were banned previously.
Yeah, they've got a fucking crossbow. They've got a fucking grappling hook.
Right.
They could totally add in that 8-ball mode that they never added to Splatoon 2. The one that was data mined. Do you remember that?
Oh yeah.
I don't remember that at all.
There was an 8-ball ranked mode that that was leaked. It was data mined a long time ago, and people were like, "Oh, they're gonna add this eventually," and they never did. So they could add it to Splatoon 3.
Oh, that would be
Maybe you have to escort. Maybe it's like an Octo Expansion 8-ball stage where you have to escort like an 8-ball from your 8-ball to their goal, and obviously they can like kind of like Rainmaker, except you don't pick up the Rainmaker.
Or maybe both team have an 8-ball.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Attack the enemy's 8-ball.
That's what I was saying. Exactly, that's exactly what I was saying. Yeah.
TF2 payload race.
Kinda, except you have to like,
back,
you actually have to hit it as well if you're gone. Like, it doesn't move on its own.
Oh, that would be fun.
That would be very fun and I think it'd be very fucking chaotic.
Oh god.
Yeah.
What's the Fall Guys mini game? Remember the Fall Guys mini game where you have like 3 balls that are all running down and you can like run over to their ball and like hold it in place?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I really do feel like it would be cool if we could have something that's like that, like Payload. Because Splatoon obviously is...
I mean, that's a Rainmaker, isn't it? Payload.
Well, hear me out, right? It is in the sense that you take both teams can grab it and push it to whatever objective you have to get it to, but Splatoon is very much, the multiplayer maps at least are symmetrical, so that every team has the same side on each side. It's identical on both ends, mirrored or not, whatever. And both teams have to achieve a goal, and they have to. A lot of the, in higher level play, it's about switching between: are you on the offensive? Are you being defensive? Are you stopping them from making a push and then making a counter push? Whatever else, which is great, but I have to wonder, and I think it would be kind of cool if they had a mode where the map was completely linear, completely straightforward, and you had to escort a payload.
Oh, an asymmetrical map.
Right, yeah.
Gotcha. So it's different on both sides. Gotcha. Okay.
And so one team is assigned to escort the payload. The other team is strictly for stopping the escort of the payload.
Like Overwatch.
Exactly like Overwatch, right? Which I think that's a lot of fun. Obviously, it works in multiplayer and games with abilities. So I think if Splatoon like took a dive into that and made an attempt at something that was very different from typical ranked of like A versus B clashing in the middle, whatever, it was like you had to be strategic about where you set up your crab turret or where you positioned your charger player. And if you're pushing the payload, do you overextend or do you stay behind or whatever else? And like the other team can't counter push. It's purely just how do we stop them from getting to the end? And then maybe like with Overwatch, it switches. So then you get to the other team, you could switch your weapons or whatever. And then you have to decide, okay, now we're defending. How do we get them less points away from us? How do we do this? Or if we're pushing now, what do we do? I think there's a lot of ways they could innovate on top of the typical, whether it's introducing new ranked mechanics or not, just innovating on top of what we have now. Because I can't imagine they just bring back Rainmaker again and just have it on new maps, like with new weapons and stuff. I mean, that'd be interesting enough, but I feel like it'd be really cool if they added some type of new mechanic that changed how you played the game, so that we really feel like we're entering a new game.
It would be interesting if the maps for Turf War and the maps for Ranked were different, if that makes sense.
Yes, that would be good too.
Because I understand the symmetrical maps for like Turf War, because then everyone's on an even playing field. But if they have like maps specific for like Rainmaker and well, even Rainmaker makes sense for symmetrical maps. But if they had like maps specific for like tower control, that's the word. Yeah. I feel like that could be very interesting. Then there would be a whole different way of playing that game, because you'd have to play tower control to get used to those maps. And that could mean that they could have the asymmetrical maps that you were talking about, and it'd be more like Payload.
Yeah,
exactly.
A little bit more like attack versus defense kind of thing. Yeah.
Like a 2-round match instead of just going like hey, everybody's piling in on the same map. I could see that happening.
That's an interesting thought about the maps, because a lot of people feel that there are certain maps for like tower control that are better than Rainmaker. There are certain maps for Rainmaker that are more fun than playing Splat Zones on, and there's certain maps that Splat Zone's the best on, and that they're not. Moray Towers, Splat Zones, perhaps. So, it clearly seems like each mode does have maps that they feel like they embrace, the better way to play. Like, I like playing Rainmaker on, Camp, not really Camp Triggerfish.
Yeah, no.
But like, I don't know, like, there's a couple maps that's more fun on. I like Tower Control on Camp Triggerfish. I like Splat Zones on Piranha Pit, stuff like that. There's maps that suit the games better. Tower Control on, Port Mackerel is nice because it's a linear map. It's a lot more straightforward, and you're hiding around, so the tower is going through it. It has to go through certain choke points that the teams can go on. There's a lot of strategy involved around that map, whereas with another map it might not work. So I think that would be really cool if they did that, if they made specific maps for specific modes. Do we know if the ranked modes are even coming back? Have they explicitly shown any
I don't
ranked
think we
gameplay,
haven't seen. We've only seen Turf, and we've only seen like new specials and stuff. We haven't seen any like returning ranked modes. So they could, I mean, they won't, but like they could throw all of the previous ranked modes out of the window and just introduce a new set if they wanted to. They won't. They won't. They'll probably bring back every existing one. Maybe get rid of Clan Blitz, please. Maybe. But they'll probably bring them back and they'll add like 1 or 2, and that'll be like, yo, Splatoon 3's got fucking 8-ball mode or whatever.
Yeah. As long as they add new ones, I'm satisfied.
Yeah, I mean, Clan Blitz was Splatoon 2's new epic fun mode, right?
Yeah.
So they'll at least add 1, but I feel like we're probably gonna get 2 new ones, because Splatoon 2. I feel like people will get mad at me for saying this, but I feel like Splatoon 2 was always like Splatoon 1.5. It feels like Splatoon. It felt like Splatoon 1, but to a bigger audience, because they were just it wasn't re-releasing it, but they changed a few things, but it felt very similar to Splatoon 1.
Yeah, it was worse at launch. Like when Octo Expansion came out, the game really felt different.
Yeah.
Came out,
Octo Expansion definitely changed it up a bit. Yeah. But because I remember I didn't play much of Splatoon 1, but I remember playing Splatoon 2, and I was like, wow, it looks like they took the saturation slider and moved it a little bit more to the right, so it's a bit more. The colors were a bit more poppy, and they took out like the Inkzuka, is that what it's called?
Inkzuka,
and like the big what was the you could become like the Kraken, yeah. And they took out that.
And the,
They replaced all the specials and the Ink Strike and
It felt. I think it's because thematically at launch it felt very similar to Splatoon 1, whereas Splatoon 3 thematically you're no longer in Inkopolis, or you're no longer in a place that looks exactly like Inkopolis. You're in like a completely different environment. I think it's also because they're releasing it on the same console, so they really are trying to make it like this is a different game and not this is just a big DLC essentially.
Yeah, that was going to be my point, is that I think the reason that Splatoon 1 even at launch, or Splatoon 2 even at launch, felt so similar to Splatoon 1 was because Splatoon 1 was launched on a dying console at the end of its life.
Exactly the point.
It very much choked what could have been, and so they didn't want to just completely tarnish everything that they had made and just release a whole new game. I think it's just a theory. I don't know.
That's literally what I just said. With the fact that Splatoon 1 was on a not bad console, but like didn't sell very well. So like that's why I said Splatoon 2 was Splatoon 1, but to a way bigger audience essentially.
Right.
And portable.
And portable. Yeah.
And portable.
Dude, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just gonna ask, although Splatoon 2 came 2 years after Splatoon 1, and Splatoon 3 is gonna come, 5 years after Splatoon 2, so that big difference of time is definitely gonna play in Splatoon 3's favor. Cause,
I also feel like they was gonna say I had something and it's gone. No worries.
But yeah, because I mean, as you said, like when it first came out, the Splatoon 1 to 2 was, and a lot of people said, "Oh, it's a Splatoon 1 port
1.5,
to
yeah.
the Switch." Yeah.
Oh, it's definitely more than a
1.5.
port, yeah.
And they weren't wrong. Like, I mean, even the Octo Canyon, who was Octo Valley back in the day, was so much of the same. Like, oh, it's the stage with the sponge, it's the stage with the rollers, and the last boss was exactly the same.
Yeah, exactly. It was Octavio. It just felt like it was kind of. That's why I said it felt like it was like a half step and not a full-blown sequel. But it was a half step to a considerably larger install base because the Switch sold so many more units by then. I also feel like the bigger gap in release windows, I think it's gonna be, like you said, 5 years, is because they supported Splatoon 2 a lot more post-launch, and also the team worked in Animal Crossing between like Splatoon 2 and Splatoon 3. But they did like a lot of Splatfests and like, you know, they added like weapon sets and stuff. And I don't know if they did that with Splatoon 1. Like they introduced like
they did.
Did they?
Close to the end, there was the berry weapons.
Oh, okay.
Like a berry splatter shot and
and Sheldon's Pick. Sheldon's Pick
Sheldon's
was
Pick,
in
exactly.
Wasn't Sheldon's Picks Splatoon 2?
Both.
Oh, okay.
both.
So they did Kenza for Splatoon 2, and then they did
oh yeah.
And then they did Sheldon's Picks for Splatoon 2 as well, right? And then nothing else. Is that the 2 that they added?
I don't think there was anything else.
Did they? No, yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah, Sheldon's Picks and Kenza.
I just forget. Wasn't Splatling and Bucket added post-launch?
For Splatoon 1 or Splatoon 2?
For Splatoon 1. Or am I just completely remembering wrong?
I'm not positive. I wasn't there for Splatoon 1 launch, so
For some reason,
that's
I
a
thought
gray
that,
area
like
for
those
me.
two weapon classes were added in like later.
Might be right.
I have a faint memory. I could just be entirely wrong.
Or I think it might be the
recall.
mini Splatling that came later.
Mini Splatling was added later. I do believe that because they added the Zinc Mini and the Berry Mini and then the Splatling remix. They did add a lot of weapons. Afterwards.
Oh yeah. Like,
and then yeah.
Oh yeah, no. I think the Slosher was added. When did Splatoon 1 release date?
Splatoon 1 was
May it came out in May 2015. The Slosher was added in August.
Oh, wow.
There we go.
Oh yeah.
There you go.
It was.
Yeah.
That's similar to Brella. Brella came out like 2 months after Splatoon, but we had the Brella in the single player, which is interesting. So I wonder if there's going to be another weapon like that we'll get in the single player Splatoon 3 that like will tease like eventually coming if players like it and they see there's a positive feedback on it, eventually coming to the multiplayer. I can't imagine they would do that with the Splatbow. It seems like they're giving Splatbow the dually treatment where it's like the
we've already seen Splatbow in multiplayer as well.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So it's the gimmick thing, but Brella was like the new thing they were adding, so maybe that it'll get some other weapon will get the Brella treatment.
Oh, for sure.
I hope they add all new weapon classes, way even more than just the...
I feel like they will. I feel like with like the Squid Research Direct, whatever it's called, that's when we'll see like maybe 1 or 2 more weapon classes like shown off. Yeah. They're definitely withholding a lot of information specifically for that. And then they'll be like, test fire, then you can try it out.
Oh, I'm so excited for it. Dude, what if they add, like, as a ranking mode, going back to that for a second, like a free-for-all? Like an 8-player free-for-all? You can... Everyone complains about their teammates, so they decided, you know what? You don't need teammates anymore. Put your money where your mouth is. Prove yourself in what's it called? Like,
free-for-all?
Or yeah, free-for-all. Yeah.
You just said the word for it.
Yeah, prove yourself in a free-for-all. 8-player free-for-all.
Although that could be a weird but interesting mode, like a team of 4 player against 1 player, and the 1 player gets the resistance of 4 player, the speed run of 4 player, and the incapacity of 4 player.
Like a juggernaut? Like Juggernaut?
Oh yeah.
That's what I mean. That would be a Juggernaut mode. Where one person has like a lot of health and a lot of buffs, and then like another team has to try and take them down. That would be sick. That'd be interesting.
That would be nice.
That would be dope.
Waterfall of ink from spamming your Joy-Con around.
And he's just like slowly walking towards you.
Oh god, terrifying.
And he just has to make it all the way to the other side and wins or some shit.
Yeah.
They could do like a fucking Battle Royale. 99 players drop into like a big map.
If they do it, you called out the name already.
What else is it gonna be called? It's gonna be called Splatoon Splattle Royale if they do that. And like,
where are we super jumping?
where are we super jumping, boys? But like, they have like a big map that like dedicated to it. And maybe not 99 players, maybe closer to like 30 or something. Maybe like a bit smaller scale. I can totally see them doing like a Battle Royale mode just because of how popular that shit is.
I would love to see, maybe not necessarily a battle royale, even though I do like the idea of every player versing each other, like everybody's against each other.
No, but even but you could like squad up in battle royale. It wouldn't have to be like a solo battle royale. You could like go in as a squad of 4.
So what I'm saying is, what I would like to see is a mode of where you do squad up with 4 people like you normally do, but instead of a 2v1 team versus team thing, it's a team versus team versus team versus team, where there's 4 very opposite colors going against each other on a massive map, right? There's like 4 spawn points and then 1 big open area.
Isn't that?
And there's 4 teams competing and they have to shoot.
Oh, so it's like a big turf war.
A huge turf war.
So not quite battle royale, but it's just 4. It's like turf war, but with more big teams.
Yeah, with a lot of you have more enemies that you can splat, but there's also more enemies that can splat you.
I feel like that's how they would do a battle royale, though, right? Like they wouldn't do it because like no Splatoon mode has like been dictated by kills. It's always been either objective or tough. I feel like the only way they can do like a Splattle Royale is how you said it, like, you know, like 6 teams all trying to tough the most amount on the map. 6 teams just trying to like tough the most on this big fucking huge map. I feel like that's the only possible way they could do it, unless they, you know, finally decided to make kills actually matter statistically.
There would have to be some incentive in the middle, because then the way you would play optimally is just, if it's a big map, you just fuck off to one little quadrant and just paint that forever, and it would be like no actual combat. There would though, because like if it's a battle royale and it's a turf war, you'd have the team that turfs the most wins. So if you're doing a little quadrant on a huge map, that's not going to be much turf.
It's the same thing as turf war, right? Like it's even now it's 2 teams, but like you could just do half of the map and then be done, but then the other team's gonna paint into your map.
Yeah,
and I feel like they would probably introduce gimmicks like splat zones, so that you can like so you can get like an upper hand very quickly, especially if the map is really big. Yeah. So like you could like ink a splat zone in the middle. That whole middle quadrant is yours, and then that's like a highly contested area. And there would be like maybe like 5 or 6 quadrants all over the map, so that the tides can turn quite quickly. Because I admit, I agree. The without stuff to like keep it faster paced, it would be a very slow game mode, because if the map's really big, there's 6 teams. So they'd need things to like, you know, be able to switch the tide very quickly, and like splat zones and stuff. Like so splat zones I think would be like a way of doing that.
Well, it's interesting you say that, because the shifty stations, which were maps that were kind of amended into the game.
That's what I was thinking of.
They all have gimmicks like that. Not only splat zones, but some of them have ones where like, the first one that comes to mind is where the zones close down. Those big containers come down and they shut off an area.
That because everyone, it was so panicked to ink them before they shut down. I remember that because you would all be fighting in the zone that was going to shut down, and then there'd be like 3 of you just enclosed in this bubble trying to fight to the death so that you can manage to get all of the ink, and then you super jump out. Yeah, it was really fun because it was like really intense, but God, my heart couldn't take it.
Oh yeah,
exactly. Right there. It added an extra layer to turf war that like no other map has because of that. And I noticed that in Splatoon 1, they had a lot of weirder elements like ink rails and like the sponges and whatever else that were only in single player. But then in Splatoon 2, they carried some of those Splatoon 1's hero mode elements like rails and sponges, but brought them into Splatoon 2 multiplayer maps, which we didn't have before, right? Ink rails, the ink lines, whatever, or the ink rails were new to Splatoon 2, but the ink lines, everything else like that was carried over. So I'm wondering if that is what they're going to do. They experimented with, okay, we have 8 balls, we have, maybe there's just a map that is it's a giant pool table. There's just a bunch of 8 balls, and you can roll them, and they roll your colored ink around, and you have
so sick. What if they like
you know
they make a map? You know, like the slap bracelet things where you shoot them and they ping out in Octo expansions. Yeah, you could like they could make a map where you can make a bridge out of those slap bracelet things. But like
that's a mechanic in the single player.
That's what I mean. And someone can just like fuck it up.
Totally.
So like you can risk it and make like a real like you can shortcut across the map with the bridges, but it can easily be fucked up if another team shoots at it.
Oh,
so
yeah,
like you get
absolutely.
a team wipe, but then you're like panically rushing towards the slap bracelet things, so that you can like really quickly make some like turn the tides. You're right. That absolutely adds like a whole new dynamic to the equation for sure.
Totally, and they even did stuff like that. Like they had geysers from Splatoon 1, or geysers were in Splatoon 1 and Splatoon 2, but they weren't in any map except for Shifty Station, which obviously came after they developed all the maps.
Yeah.
They tried using geysers. They even tried using grappling hooks in Shifty Stations. They used all the aspects that they didn't do in the normal maps. They might carry over to the third game. So imagine you have this big map that has the slap bracelets things. They have the 8 balls rolling around. You have grappling hooks at random places. It's just a big map.
Grappling hooks in multiplayer?
There are not in the normal multiplayer.
The walking gushers, and to get on top of them.
Yeah, no, I know what the hooks are. Now that I think about it, I know they're not in multiplayer, but I'm surprised they're not. You're talking about the things you shoot, right? And they just fling you forward, yeah?
Yeah.
They fling you up, yeah. I believe only one Shifty Station has those. It's the only map aside from single player.
I don't think the only reason I think they wouldn't do that is because you have the Zipcaster or whatever it's called now, which is basically that, but portable.
Right, that's true. But not every weapon has that, so maybe if you're a charger and you don't have that.
Is it a part of a weapon?
I think it's a special.
The Zipcaster is a special.
Oh,
so
only
certain people will have it, or some people won't have it with exclusive weapons.
That makes so much sense. Okay.
Yeah. So it might be something that, even one of the Splatfest maps had hyper bombs on it. Maybe they'll throw hyper bombs into the equation somehow in multiplayer maps. Point being, there's a lot of stuff that they could do to spice up what you're saying. Like an open map would need some type of elements in it, and even Turf War itself could use more elements to spice it up a lot. I imagine they would do that.
I just looked up what the Zipcaster is, and I didn't pick up on this initially. I thought it was just a like a grappling hook. No, they turn you into motherfucking Monkey D. Luffy.
Yeah,
you have stretchy arms. Yeah. I was reading the description. I was like, wait, what? That was their arms? Because the description says the Zipcaster transforms the user into a form with long, stretchy arms. I was like, where have I seen that before? Huh? Oh dear, I've been watching too much One Piece. Is there any other thoughts we have on the multiplayer? Anything else we think could be cool that they could add, or any other theories or anything? Just any other thoughts bubbling around in the brains?
Make solo queue fun.
True. Let us queue with friends. Every other competitive game lets us do that. Why not Splatoon? Like, yeah, there's like the chance that maybe someone will boost. Who cares? Like, fucking literally every other competitive game lets you queue with your friends. Solo queue fucking sucks. I want to queue with the homies and play competitive Splatoon 3. It can't be that hard. Why is it not in Splatoon 2? Just put it in Splatoon 3, please.
I don't know. They're figuring something out, dude. There's got to be a solution to that. Absolutely.
Yeah, I like fucking Overwatch lets you do it. Valorant lets you do it. CS:GO let you do it.
Well, I mean, back in the day, Splatoon 1 let you do it too.
Yeah,
until rank A or S, I think. And then it stopped.
See, like,
which was also
in Valorant, when you're a when you're ranked, there's a disparity. You have to you can play with everyone within a certain disparity until it's too much. So like, if you have like I think it's like a 2 or 3 rank disparity, you can't play with someone. If they're like 3 ranks below you, you can't play with them. If they're 3 ranks above you, you can't play with them. I think that's the easiest way to like determine that. Yeah.
Allow like top people to absolutely stomp like new
exactly.
players. I just teamed up with my new friend.
If I could like, if us 4 could just like queue up to competitive Splatoon 3, that would be so much more fun. Sure, it would be really difficult because playing against other 4 stacks, inherently people are going to be way more coordinated in competitive if everyone's a 4 stack. But I feel like that's way more fun. Like you don't have to like scream at your teammates for not doing what you want to, because you can just communicate with them and then you can scream at them.
Yeah, exactly.
and I should mention though, you mean like it's like League, but you actually rank up when you play rather than just leveling up, right?
How do you mean?
League battles in Splatoon.
Yes.
Like League battles you can queue up with friends, but you don't rank up in that.
So it would be exactly like League where you play ranked, except you can rank up with it.
You can actually rank
like in Valorant, like when we play competitive Valorant, you can get like MMR from it.
That's true. Yeah, you can actually do placement games and stuff with friends.
Yeah, exactly. And I feel like that would
that'd be interesting.
I feel like Splatoon 3 needs that, because then I'd be more inclined to play ranked.
Yeah,
because solo queue can be absolute agony sometimes.
Yeah, solo queue is pain. Or just even better ways to communicate with your team. More like, it doesn't have to be voice chat. There's a whole discussion about if voice chat should be added or not.
Yeah, there should just be more call outs instead of like this way and booyah.
Yeah.
Ouch.
We need more of that.
Ouch. Please see it.
There should be like this way on me. I don't know, like over there or something. If you could ping in Splatoon, that would be kind of insane.
That is exactly what I was going to say. The only I don't need any other callouts. Just the ability to ping something would be like massive.
Being able to ping for danger, ping the objective.
Yeah, ping the route you want to take if you're carrying the Rainmaker.
Yeah,
you know?
Exactly.
Instead of this way, I don't know what this way means. You're 2 feet ahead of me. Where are we going? You know.
I wish I guess this way means on me, but I wish it was more clear. Like if it was literally just like on me or like gather here or some more clear cut way than this way.
Yeah.
Obviously you got to keep booyah. It's iconic at this point, but
team morale.
Yeah, it is absolutely team morale. But I feel like if we don't get the ability to queue with friends in competitive, at least give us more communication options. Though ideally both, please.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
Coded private lobbies.
Okay.
With a kick button.
If Splatoon 3 doesn't have coded lobbies, I'm not buying the game, because there is literally no fucking excuse. Mario 3D World plus Bowser's Fury had coded lobbies, and that's a Wii U game that got ported. That's a Wii U game that got ported to the Switch. And it had coded lobbies. There is no excuse.
I was gonna say, I wonder why they didn't do that, but I realized Splatoon 2 was the first multiplayer game for Switch, or the first major one that was Nintendo developed for Switch, right?
Mario Kart
even before Mario
came out
before Mario Kart did.
Mario Kart has coded lobbies. Yeah, that is true.
It does have coded lobbies, yeah.
But Mario Kart came out after Splatoon.
It's not like this. It's not like the straightforward coded lobbies, but you have like tournaments and stuff.
Yeah.
Right. But you still have to join through friends, right? And Mario Kart 8 had that too. So I think I feel like they didn't even.
Well, in Mario Kart 8, you made tournaments, and that was like a predecessor before coded lobbies almost.
Exactly. So even if Mario Kart 8 Deluxe came out before Splatoon, they never had a game that had coded lobbies until Smash, right? So I feel like Splatoon 2 is the way that it is because they literally didn't have
Mario Kart 8 came out first,
way to do coded lobbies. It did come out first. Okay. So
no, I'm wrong. I'm lying to you. Sorry. That's the original Mario Kart 8.
Oh,
yeah. I think Mario Kart 8 Deluxe came out in May. I'm fairly certain. Splatoon came out in June.
Deluxe came out in April.
Okay,
it
so
says May 29,
so it was
2014 though. Or wait, is that
Deluxe came out in April 28, 2017.
Yeah, okay, 2017. Yeah.
And Splatoon 2 came out in July. So they still had like tournaments though. I mean, it's not the same, but like, you know, there was a code and you could kind of play with people through that.
Yeah.
Step in the right way.
Yeah, it was better than it was better than having to add everyone. That's what I'm saying. Like you could do a tournament and at least you could just play with anyone with that code. Whereas Splatoon 2, you had to just add people. There was no like tournament mode where you could put in a code.
So that's my point, is that Splatoon 2 was so early in the Switch's lifespan that every game after Splatoon 2 had coded lobbies. So I think it is inevitable that Splatoon 3 is going to have coded lobbies.
Oh yeah, no,
that's rest easy.
That's what we were saying. Like it's like there's no excuse for it not to, because every game like from Smash Ultimate, because Smash Ultimate came out in 2018. There's like no reason for every game to not have coded lobbies at this point.
Yeah, I'm surprised they didn't just amend that into Splatoon.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. They updated a game to add coded lobbies at one point. I'm just surprised they didn't do it to Splatoon 2.
Yeah, they did it to Mario Party.
Yes, they did it to Mario Party, because Mario Party didn't have online at launch, and then they added it, and it had coded lobbies.
Hey, Mario Maker didn't have it with friends for a while too.
I remember, and people were pissed.
Like, I agree that they didn't probably have a system, but they have the ability to push an update.
Yeah,
they added a whole new like multiplayer section to Super Mario Party. I'm just surprised that they didn't pull the switch and were like, yeah, by the way, coded lobby, Splatoon 2, let's go. Whoop whoop.
Yeah. Well, we know they're gonna do it now. It's thank God we have
don't jinx it. Don't jinx it. Just pray that they're gonna do it.
Until they say, I'm not saying anything.
I was gonna say, don't jinx it. I don't want to jinx it.
Look.
You're right.
If I may, yes, you could have coded online lobbies, but then we have Animal Crossing Online. Yeah, there's coded online islands, but also you have to wait 20 minutes for one person to join the island.
Yeah,
Can you imagine? Could you imagine?
Failboat, you monkey puss son of a gun.
Dude,
this is what's gonna happen now.
Can you imagine if you had to watch the train ride for everyone connecting to your Splatoon team? They have to make your way to fucking Splatville. I'm sorry. I'm just like,
I think it's a little different with Animal Crossing. I feel like they coded it weirdly so that you have to load in everything on their island because you can interact with everything on their island. I don't think it was optimized very well.
I don't trust them. I don't trust them.
Whereas the thing is, you got to think with Splatoon 3, it's not loading a unique island every single time with like, you know, unique textures and unique placed items. It's just a map. It is. Listen, it's gonna be okay. It is just a.
What's fucked is that you're right. You're right. I can't disagree with anything, but I still can't trust it. I can't give them the credit because they can't lose it. I can't take any more, Aiden.
They are loading just a map from the database, nothing unique, nothing altered, no new code, nothing unique to it.
The characters are all customized. That could at least. Who knows what that could do to the loading time?
He's right.
I'm just saying, everyone has a different weapon. Everyone looks different. Yeah.
6 minutes to load a fucking bowl cut.
I don't know, man. I don't know.
Splatoon 3 Online is brought to you by Dodo Airlines.
And with that, I think that's going to be the end of today's episode. Thank you so much for watching. Let us know in the comments what you're excited about for Splatoon 3, what your thoughts are. If you have any crazy theories, let us know down below.
Yeah, we'll judge you harshly.
Exactly, because you can be wrong, and we're right, as always. Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Goodbye.
Bye. Bye, Mouthfools.
I think Capcom does a great job when they're adding, like, collaboration characters.
I've never been able to extend this way.
Oh, God, I gotta get the helmet on. Oh, God.
Wait a minute, our guy's a bad guy the whole time.
I just think it's crazy that I'm better at video games now than when I was, like, 16.
That is how you fix all the problems with all these games.
I feel like toy distribution is so different than it used to be.
They resculpted over the chest. They gave him a flak jacket over it.
I laugh when I see Among Us, but I'm not having fun inside. It's a reflex.
No, you took my joke!